Sagittarius, hello there, my beautiful friends. We're going to do your general tarot reading for mid-November 2025. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, I appreciate each and every single one of you. So let's get right down to business as always and start you off with an oracle card here, just so we could dip our toes into energy and see what's happening for the lovely Sagittarius collective. Hope you're all doing fabulous and fantastic, my friends. Let's get it going here. My guide spirit team, talk to me. What do we got for these beautiful Saggies? And we're getting very close to Saggy season, right around the corner. What energies, messages, insights can we take a peek at? And yeah, we're just going to take a real quick look at this first card. Then we'll get into the full reading itself. And at the very end, I'll pull you a bonus card from the Shadowland Tarot, just to see who might be in the shadows or what shadow work you can lean into, which is always interesting. But let's get it going here. Let's rock and see what we got for Saggy in mid-November. What's the energy? What's the vibe here for my good friends as they're getting ready to party it up for their birthday? There we go. Thank you. Waiting. What are you waiting on? Huh? All right. This isn't a bad card. It reminds me of the Three of Wands, and there's a lot of nuance to this because even though it looks like a lady just chilling by the window, like there's background imagery and the bird and the clock and the moon. There's all sorts of stuff happening here. So there can be complexity to it. It doesn't just have to be waiting. Now, before we fully dive into that, if you're new here, I'll be speaking about the November subscriber surprise towards the end, so you might want to check that out. Pardon me. And also, if you could kindly illuminate that like button by tapping it right on its third eye, you know, I'd greatly appreciate it. But enough of the promo, back into the reading. Let's talk more in depth about this card. So as you can see, the lovely lady sitting by the windowsill. It's nighttime. There's the moon. We got a bird delivering a letter. We've got a big golden clock. I think we even have a sleeping kitty cat there. So there's a lot going on here, even if it doesn't seem like it. So again, for some of you, with the clock, maybe there is something where you're biding your time, where it's like, let's wait and see. There could be any situation where you're like, okay, well, I don't know how it's going to go yet, but I'll know soon enough. It's an energy that just seems to be waiting and anticipating. Now, again, this could be someone else's energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be yours. So take that for what it's worth. Now, for a lot of you, there could be some time included in with whatever situations you're dealing with, whether it's like, okay, I need a certain amount of time to pass, or too much time has passed, not enough time has passed. Like it could really fit into whatever it might be. Obviously, with the moon outside, there is a questioning that can represent mystery, very subtle energy. So unknowns, a lot of questions. And then we have this bird coming in with a letter. Obviously, that represents communication. So there's a lot of different energies at play here, which tells me even simple situations might be a little more complex than what they seem, right? Or like the outside doesn't match the inside because it might seem simple, but it's really not. So we're just going to let her chill right there with her wait and see. Let's get into tarot. And yeah, I always say that first card, it doesn't make or break the reading. It's just a little footnote. So let's get you 3 tarot cards in the upright. Then we'll get into that intuitive juiciness. Shuffle it up one time here for Saggy. What do we got in mid-November? And while we get this deck shuffled up and ready to go, let's talk about last week's reading. It was titled They're Hurting. Now, that didn't have to mean physical hurting. Okay? I'm not trying to scare anybody. It could have just been emotional. And I didn't necessarily feel like it was all of you. Like, to me, it was there could have been someone you're really close to that's really going through it, because it showed up in multiple parts in the reading last week. We're like, okay, someone's going through it, even if they're not really speaking about it. So hopefully that energy has passed. We're going to see what shows up this week. As you know, energy is very fluid, never set in stone. So only take this how it hits for you, because we could be seeing your vibe or somebody else, right? Let's get it going. 3 cards for Saggy in mid-November, please. And I keep getting this little knot in my throat. Like, you remember in the beginning where I had that little cough there? I'm still feeling a knot in my throat. So watch out for anything regarding communication, and also any ailments of the throat. So I don't know why that's coming through. I rarely get things like that. But we are starting with a very mysterious card, my good friends. We have the High Priestess in position number 1. What do you want, Miss High Priestess? I mean, she's a good card, very intuitive. And then we have the Hermit. These cards are like 2 sides of the same coin almost. They're just super, super quiet, reserved type of energy. Now, what I usually know about Saggies, it's an outgoing energy in my experience, so I don't know why this energy is so quiet. 7 of Swords. So it's like all mystery here this week, Sagittarius, all unknowns with this 7 of Swords right here on the back end. So we're going to have to definitely clarify and see what we could figure out here, because all of these cards, there's obscure, there's hidden energy, and then even leading to this very first card with the moon. Mystery is just all over the place in this week's reading. But let's go through. I'll give you some of the classical meanings and archetypes, then we'll get into that juicy intuitive stuff. But at first glance, I always like to look at the elements first. So even though these cards do have a lot of similarities, there's differences in areas of life they could be showing up in. Because right here in the front, we have water. That's the emotional realm, how we deal with feelings and emotions. It could also represent intuition, empathy, the dream state. Uh, Water energy ties into creativity. So whether it's creative thinking, problem solving, art, any of that stuff. It could also connect to partnerships as well. So we want to look at the water. The thing with water, it's always flowing, it's always conforming to its container. So we want to see what it's doing. In the center, we have Earth, a bit more predictable. The good thing about Earth to me is that it could represent the world that we live in, not the inside, but the outside. So it could represent work, it could represent business, home, and family. So the material world that we live in with this earthy energy. Now, the rough aspect about a lot of earth energy is that it can feel stuck or feel like it's not moving. And then here on the back end, we have the air, which is represented by the swords. And that's logic, planning, strategy, the thought process, intelligence, and communication. So we have three very separate categories, so to speak, but they're all very shrouded for one reason or another. But let's go through and start building this out piece by piece. Position number one, we're starting with the High Priestess herself. One of my favorite cards. So mystery isn't always a bad thing. And we see her there. I like to call her the matron of psychics, intuitives, tarot readers. And yes, she does rule over all of that intuitive energy. So whether it's your gut telling you something, your intuition telling you something, you might be having some funky dreams whenever she shows up. That's a big thing with the High Priestess. There's a lot of positive to her because notice she is sitting in between these two pillars, Boaz and Jachin, between spirit and the material. She's in that center balance, which is good. She's a very neutral card. She's a knowledgeable energy as well, so she knows a lot of information. But the big thing about her is she's not speaking. She's being very hush hush, not revealing. So sometimes, in the rough sense, this card could represent secrecy or unknowns or somebody knowing a piece of information but not divulging it. Um, and again, it could just be run of the mill mystery or unexpected energy. We'll just have to see when we clarify her. Zodiacally, she does link to Pisces, but I like to give her to all water signs. So Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. So we'll see. So again, it could just be very intuitive, hidden energy. And for some of you, it's just an unknown piece of information. Now, moving to the center as we get her tucked back in by this amethyst, we have the Hermit, Virgo. So if you're connected to a Virgo, if you have Virgo placements, maybe this has more significance. But when I see this card, it's not all bad once again, but it's retracted and pulled back. It's not moving forward, it's recoiling in one way or another. Now, the positives about this Hermit, very spiritual, so very similar to her. They're both very spiritual, very wise, very informed, a lot of information. Um, but the downside is not really talking, right? Very private, very secluded. In its worst case, this could represent loneliness or missing somebody, communication issues, or again, holding back information for whatever reason. So we want to see, no judgment here, but we want to look, especially with all this holding back. What's happening here? This isn't like the classic Saggy energy I'm used to, honestly. Because you ask a Sagittarius a question, you better be prepared for their opinion. This energy is kind of like the opposite, where it's just being very um, secluded, very quiet. Now, moving to the back end, this is the one I think we need to watch out for the most. We have the Seven of Swords. So, in the positive, and we see this little individual wearing the fez, it's like he's stealing those swords. So, in its most positive sense, it is just run of the mill unknowns, something that is off our radar, something that we don't know of quite yet, something that's going on in the shadows, which again doesn't have to be a bad thing, but the challenge with this card is pretty hefty. Sometimes it's not a very trustworthy energy. Sometimes it's like a thieving type of energy or someone with bad intentions. So this card is usually a big warning. But when there's just so much energy flowing and so many unknowns, it's like, okay, well, what is it really? Like, is it my intuition telling me something? Am I overthinking something? Like, it's giving me a lot of crossed wires. So we're gonna have to try to uncross them. So we'll keep a very close eye on that Seven of Swords, though. I want to dive deeper on all this, Sagi. Let's do it. Let's jump in and clarify. Okay. Let's get a good shuffle here for my friends. What do we got for Saggy, please? My guide spirit team. And yes, this is where I go intuitive with the message, which means I just tell you how it feels to me. So feel free to do further research or rely on your base knowledge of tarot, because as you know, every single reading is about the reader's interpretation, and I'm just giving you mine. Let's go in on the High Priestess. And yeah, if you're a reader yourself, please feel free to play along. That's why the box is here. If you're feeling any messages you want to get to Saggy, you could drop it in the comments. I don't mind at all. Okay, let's see what this High Priestess has for us. Why is she here? It's being very particular. This is something in the subconscious mind. Okay, so we have the Six of Cups in reverse underneath the High Priestess. It's one of two things. Either it's some sort of return or reuniting, which I saw in the Aries reading this week as well, so maybe it's a fire sign thing. So when these are aligned, sure. Could it be an unexpected or surprising return or reuniting? Sure. It could also be that. But the first thing that flashed into my mind is like something embedded in the subconscious mind. And I know that's hyper specific. I feel like I'm doing a personal reading here. But yeah, she does rule over the subconscious and things from the past, situations, problems, good times, bad times. A lot of things imprint on our subconscious mind. So for some of you, there might be urges, feelings, behaviors that you're experiencing right now, and that might be due to subconscious reprogramming. And again, I'm not going to dive too down the rabbit hole. I'm not going to say you were programmed in some sort of way, but something has made an imprint. That's just how it feels. So those are the two paths I'm picking up here. It could be a little bit of both for some of you. Six of Cups is one of my cards of soul ties, soul connection, history, the past. So when I see it, I think of taking trips down memory lane. So obviously in reverse, underneath the High Priestess, it's digging something back up, digging some history up. So whether you're doing some soul searching or digging into your own mind and own experiences, or this is an energy that just returns, all of it can be valid. So we're just going to keep moving. Makes sense since we're getting close to your birthday. But there could be a lot of stuff, people, situations popping up out of nowhere or re-emerging. But then, yeah, there's just this energy where it's like something has left a mark on me. It imprinted on me a long time ago, and that's why something is happening now. Let's keep moving forward. Let's go in on the Hermit. We'll see what that has. I know that was hyper specific. Only take it if it hits, of course. But let's see why Mr. Hermit is in the mix. Why is the Hermit here? Thank you. Clarity. Beautiful. So we have the Ace of Swords in the upright underneath this Hermit. Okay, so I'm not sure whether this is like a revelation, a realization, or just some eureka moment that you might have. Remember, aces, they represent communication messages. So when I see the Hermit, which is usually withdrawn with the Ace of Swords, it's an energy that just comes in out of the blue. So very similar to here on the front. And these could be totally different things. Again, I'm not saying it's two things returning, but this could easily be a surprising talk, an unexpected one, digging into some sort of topic you weren't expecting to dig into, which I think is okay. This feels better here on the front than what I was getting in other places. But then there's also this clarity where you might get a piece of information that finally connects the dots, where it's like, oh, now that makes sense. So whether that comes through your own soul searching, meditation, and practices, you could have eureka moments there. But for another portion of you, I do feel like it's an energy coming forward towards you, or you coming forward towards somebody else. Like the energy is moving in to provide this. So it does feel like a surprising or unexpected talk to me. And for some of you, it could even be something that's ancient history. It might not even be speaking about something very current. It feels like it's something that's probably already happened. So we're just going to keep moving. I mean, your reading is very, very unique this week. I could tell you that, Saji. Let's see what the Seven of Swords has. Then we'll do a quick recap before we get into the shadow. Because I've been keeping my eye on this little fellow over there with his fez. So why is the Seven of Swords here for Saji? A lot of stuff popping up here, my good friends. Thank you. Again, so it's like multiple. It's like things happening in multiples. Okay. And again, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, but we have Judgment in reverse underneath the Seven of Swords. This is an energy that just seems very unsure. So again, I'm not saying it's you, it could be somebody else, but when I see the Seven of Swords with Judgment in reverse, it's either one, a piece of advice where Spirit's like, all right, don't do something until you have all the information, all the facts, So again, it could be advising that, or it's an energy that's doing very similar to here, where whether it's two different things or again and again, there could be something about a cycle. Because judgment to me represents change. It's very karmic. It's usually moving forward, very explosive. When it shows up in reverse, it's looping again. So again, we have it here in spades this week for your reading. That there's a lot of stuff, whether it's unresolved stuff or things that are just coming back your way. It's like we're digging into the past again, even though we're trying to look ahead with this week's reading. So that's just the main vibe I'm feeling here. But yeah, the Seven of Swords, if it's the advice, it's Spirit saying, like, okay, don't make a move until you have all the information, all the facts. But for another portion of you, it's just that energy that's popping back up. So let's go through and do a quick recap. Then we'll get into the shadow. So yeah, you see how the wires are crossed all over the place in this week's reading. But if you kindly look here in the box, position number one, we have the High Priestess with the Six of Cups in reverse. So first and foremost, something looping back out of the blue. Person, situation, you name it. But aside from that, there is something here about something that's imprinted on your subconscious mind, and it could be something from ancient history. So there might be certain things you're experiencing now or behaviors that are being exhibited from somebody where it's due to like the subconscious imprint of sorts. Now, moving to the middle, we have the Hermit with Ace of Swords in the upright. That's an energy coming in out of nowhere. Now, if it's from you and your own self reflection, it's you connecting the dots, having some sort of realization or revelation. But at the same time, it feels like a surprising or unexpected talk, again, out of the blue. It's like all of this energy is popping up out of the blue. It's like, where's this coming from? All this energy is coming out of the woodwork. Moving to the back end, we have the Seven of Swords with Judgment in reverse. It could be an energy of confusion. This could be advice from Spirit saying, like, okay, don't make a move until you have all the facts about something. Um, but again, there's like this energy that's very unsure of how to proceed with something. And which doesn't have to be bad, but at the same time, here we go again. Energy's looping. Here it comes. Here they come again. Energy's just looping. So please take a screenshot if you want to look into it further. Let's see what's in the shadows. Okay, let's get a good shuffle. Yeah, and I think I saw something similar, like even a couple weeks for you, where there's like an energy that's just looping on you for some reason. But yeah, I always like to pull one of these at the very end just to see whether it's something within you or something you don't quite see. Shadow cards don't always have to be a challenge, they can be a good thing. So let's get you one. And if you made it to this point in the reading, please feel free to check out channel memberships. I'll put a link for it in the comments below. It's a beautiful way to support the channel, and I have much love for all my channel members. Okay, let's get this shadow card out. What do we got? Thank you. Queen of Cups. Okay, little shadows of the High Priestess here. So the Queen of Cups, water sign again, so Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. If that's not the case, she could represent mother figures, motherhood, usually very nurturing, loving, and caring. So I like the Queen of Cups for that. If you're not tied to a water sign, she could just represent one's emotional state. So for some Saggies, maybe you're feeling things a little more than you normally do. Maybe you're a little more sentimental than you normally are with her showing up in the shadows. The only downside or shadow side with the Queen of Cups is again an energy that I don't quite fit with Sagittarius, because this energy could be suppressing things. And I mentioned it multiple times in this reading, and I say it almost every week. Like Saggies are usually very blunt, very straightforward. So when I see this in the shadows, it's just a warning against suppressing things or suppression, especially multiple, uh, especially communication or emotional. That's how it feels to me. So no pushing things down. There needs to be a release valve of some sort. So we're just going to put her down over here, Saggy. That's what I have for you this week, my beautiful friends. Don't click away just yet, though. I'm going to give you the details. The November subscriber surprise. If you would like further insight on your situation and you'd like to have a little chat with me, you can book a personal reading with me on my website, mastermetaphysics.com. You'll see my digital calendar is open for the month of November. They're filling up pretty quick, so if you'd like to have a chat, come over and see me. But for the November subscriber surprise, I'm giving away 3 copies of a lovely deck. It's fairly new. It's called Tarot of the Woodland Wardens. It has a whole bunch of fluffy critters. It's really adorable. I think everyone would like it. So if you like to get your name in for this, it's 2 simple things as always, my friends. First, you must be subscribed. And second, let me know down in the comments, since it is November, what are you most grateful for right now? You'll be entered to win, and at the end of the month, the winners will be announced in my community tab. As always, my friends, much love, and I'll see you soon.